take a look at the little game room slash uh, gambling room, if you will, for legendary weapons. Take a look at how it was built, wiring mess that it is, and just how, if you want to do something similar, how to build it. Let's get started on it. So here's my base. You watch some of the other streams, you'll see the build of it. Really, the pride and joy of this, though, is down here. We built ourselves a game room. Now I've got a lot of it kind of deactivated right now, just so that it doesn't mess with us too much. So we're gonna go into the build mode and take a look at what we've got. So first things first, obviously when you come down the stairs, I've tried to be as nice as possible. This doesn't usually go there, it usually goes here. And so what happens is you'll come down the stairs. Obviously my main point here was not to steal people's stuff, so put a little scrap box over here to give them the opportunity to drop off their junk, as well as a stash box. Again, we're not trying to steal people's stuff. That is not the goal of this. It's just a fun way to try and add a little bit more fun to going to people's camps. So as you can see, there's just wires going everywhere. There are just wires going everywhere. All kind of different circuits and matching up with different things. The key to this whole thing right here is that switch, the random switch box that you see over there. That's really what allows this whole thing to operate. Unfortunately, a lot of the switches available to us in the build mode are not really that conducive for us to create kind of a fun system. You can see here we've got the powered pylon for the switch, which is great, but through my testing I've discovered that if you do use any sort of pressure plate powering of it, it's just going to be either on or off in terms of whether it's powered or not. It doesn't stay on, it doesn't switch. So that was kind of the hard part of trying to get doors to open and stay open here. The other one we have is going to be your switch powered pylon, which is pretty much identical to the in terms of functioning to the switch power pylon, the smaller one. Then we also have the actual switch itself. Again, it's either powered on or it doesn't have power at all. It doesn't actually impact the switch movement, which would be more key. Then really key to a lot of this is your pressure plate. That's going to be pretty important, as well as your terminal, which is going to be used to determine what is going to be on and what's going to be off. Next, we do have the random switch, and this was really how I was able to build this whole thing, because it's really the only thing that allows us to power certain aspects either on or off via switch. Next, we do have the powered pylon with the keypad access. Again, the only difference is you're just adding the keypad access to that. They're not entirely important in terms of a build like this. The other super important aspect right here is laser tripwire. These laser tripwires are super important to being able to build something like this, because you have to be able to activate it. Whatever mechanism you're trying to build, you have to activate it. It has to either stay on or stay off, which is really key to how I was able to build a lot of this. Now they're pretty finicky in terms of activating them and how they work, so we'll talk about that and what I've kind of learned along the way. And then of course we do have like powered speakers and the power counter. Now the power counter, I believe, is not working. I've done a couple tests, and I'll try to show you at the end of this video where I pretty much prove that it doesn't work the way it's intended to. Now I could be missing something, so if you do you have any ideas of where I'm going wrong, feel free to put a note in the comments down below and let me know, because I haven't been able to get this to work at all. Although if it would work, there'd be a lot of really cool builds we could do with it. Let's take a look at really what we did here. So the key here in the main concept was you come down, you decide to try your luck, and you come in through this open door, and as soon as you come through this door, the power door behind you is going to close. Again, we're using power doors just because then it eliminates, you know, the lock picking and the any form of a switch you need to press. So the door would close, and then once you're in here, you got a little tripwire that you got to run past, and then that would then decide which door is going to open. So if you open this one, as you can see, flamethrowers opens up, or if you open this one, you're going to get the there we go. And if you open up this one, you're going to get the vending machine, where I've put some very cheap legendary weapons and armor, Fosnock masks, things like that. Kind of more the rare things for a really cheap price, 10 caps actually. And what that's going to allow for is then just you to have the opportunity to buy things for really cheap. So again, just kind of a fun game, just to play. Nothing going to be breaking the system. But that was the purpose, was you either open, by running past this tripwire here, you either open this door, the garage door with the flamethrowers, or you open this door, allowing you to go in and grab some really cheap legendary gear. Now, again, as you'll notice, there are cables going everywhere. I've got 2 terminals, got 2 pressure plates, 2 tripwires, a random switch, wires going ever up above. So the first thing we'll talk about here is the door. Getting it so that when you walk on through the door closes behind you, but yet where you can still hop on this pressure plate and still leave. Now when they leave, the door will close behind them because you aren't on that pressure plate anymore, and because the door is closed, and this pad right here will actually be deactivated, the door will not open again. So really, once you're in here, that is your one opportunity to test the system, and if you choose not to and you leave, then that's it. You do not get a second try. Now there's a lot of uses for a system like that, and the way I did it was using 2 pressure plates and a tripwire, as well as a terminal that it's all hooked up to. Actually, no, I didn't need the terminal for this one. I need the terminal for the other. Take that back. I believe it is connected. Yeah, it is connected to the terminal. So what's going to happen is we had to activate this pressure plate in the beginning. When the doors open, this pressure plate has to be activated, and then as soon as you walk into the room, this pressure plate has to be deactivated. So in order to do that, I connected this tripwire right here on the inside of the door with this pressure plate. So what's going to happen is you're going to walk in, this pressure plate, if the door is not open, would open the door. You would walk through, and as soon as you walk through, you would trip this tripwire here, which is set to disarm. And because it's set to disarm and it's connected directly to this pressure plate, it disarms this pressure plate. Now what happens then is, as you walk through, that pressure plate is now disarmed. And as you press this pressure plate, the door will close. Now the door is closed behind you, the pressure plate outside is deactivated, and the pressure plate inside is still active. So the wiring of this is kind of a complete mess. So as you can see, the pressure plate outside, I connected to a connector through the wall, and that then goes down here to a floor connector, which is then going to go up, and a lot of these additional connectors are just to kind of reroute the wiring around the door, that way it wasn't directly in your view. down to the tripwire. They're directly connected to the tripwire. So this pressure plate completely connected just to that tripwire. Now, that tripwire then is connected to the door, and the tripwire is also connected through the connection, the floor connector here, all the way over the power source, which is connected at the roof. Now, I did have to add 2 power sources. I couldn't have them be on the same one, and that is due to the terminals. I needed one to activate during arming and one to activate during dearming. And the way the terminals work is if you have, for example, 2 separate types of tripwires, you can either choose to activate all of them, or correction, you can either choose to arm all of them or disarm all of them. You can't specify which tripwire you want to do which. So I had to build 2 completely separate circuits, and that's the reason for the 2 power sources. As you'll notice, we have one over here that goes through the ceiling and one over here that goes through the ceiling, which I also connected in over there with the vendor. So we come inside. We now have that power source coming in through here, which, as you can see, connects, and this one over here connects to that power source. This terminal over here. So we're following that power again to the main power source, which is what connects to the terminal as well. So because this terminal is connected to the same circuit, I'm able to control how I want this tripwire to act. So I can either choose to disarm or arm the devices. And I have it set to disarm. So as soon as this tripwire is activated, due to its connection around the door, the wall, to this pressure plate, it will deactivate it. And when we look at the other pressure plate is connected directly to the door. It is connected through the tripwire here, but it still acts in the same manner in which it will open and close the door when needed. I just need to rearm it. So, as you can see here, I've armed the pressure plate there, so as soon as somebody comes through, which it will not work this way. So there you go, now you can see the door activated, and you can see the lights are off on this pressure plate, and so now there is no way to get back inside this room, because this pressure plate, which would originally activate it, is no longer active. And again, it is a power door, not a switch, so there's no lock picking or anything of that sort. The only way back inside is to move this wall, which obviously if someone in here they cannot do. Now, once they're inside, they still have the opportunity to leave by standing on this pressure plate. The door will still open. Again, you can see it does not reactivate the outside pressure plate. Again, I can walk through this, walk through the tripwire, and it will not reactivate the door, the outside pressure plate. Again, which is key to these tripwires. They're either on or off. They don't reset. The only way to reset them is to physically point at them and click. So I could reset this one again by pressing. Now the wire is back, or the red laser's back. And we've got the light back on the outside pressure plate. Again, the inside pressure plate is still active. And as you can see, the door will remain open once that is the case. Now, the wiring of that again is, it looks more complex than it really is. Really, you just have the outside pressure plate is connected directly to the tripwire. The tripwire is connected to the door. This pressure plate is looped around to connect it to the door, and all that connects to main power. And we have an additional terminal here where I do have access to changing the settings on. Okay. should have access to... Huh. I believe that was connected, but it's not anymore. I guess it's still working, so we will not complain about that one. Maybe it's because the way I just hooked up the doors. I'm not sure about that one, but you should have access over here to then choose how you want this to work. I don't believe this is the only one that is connected. Yeah, so this one is connected to the sensors. Let's see, how's it set right now? It's disarm. So that one is connected to this sensor right here. So again, that's how the door works, how we're able to get a door that opens, and as soon as you walk in, it closes, but still allows you to leave without re-entering. Again, really comes down to the tripwires and the wiring of the sensors, the pressure sensors. Once we had the door over here, it was pretty simple to wire the garage door and the other powered door. I just used a pylon. Really what we did is we connected it to this random switch. So the goal here now was to grab power and send it to this pylon, because we needed it to be, once they went through this tripwire, they were able to then activate this pylon, either left or right side receives power. Now I did hook up the right side to be the garage, and the left side was going to be the power door for my vendor. So in order to do that, I just placed it at the back of the room, that way it's not too obvious. I do repair these real quick, but I am going to disconnect them, obviously, because I do want to burn myself. This is a bit pricier of a room to maintain. You do have to constantly fix things, but it's all part of this version. Now you'll notice I do have the wires in this situation. The wires are all connected. So I've just connected all the flamethrowers, and then I just connected one of the flamethrowers to the right side. Do not connect it to the middle, otherwise you will always have the flamethrowers turn on. I connected it to the right side. In this case though, I'm going to deactivate it by cutting this wire. So now they have no power. So what we will do is, so over here we do have that terminal where we were able to decide what we wanted to do with this tripwire. Do we want to arm or disarm? In this case I wanted it to arm because I wanted to power this random switch. And then the random switch will decide if it gives power to the right side or the left side. If it gives power to the right side, I do have a wire that travels from the right side out to the garage door, which you will see as soon as I repair the door. However, I believe it will close the door, so we'll want to keep that in mind. So the right side goes directly to the garage power, as well as directly to the flamethrowers. So as soon as the player walks through this tripwire, power goes to the random switch, then the random switch decides the left or right side. If it decides the right side, we're powering the flamethrowers, and if not, the left side, it powers this door, which then opens it. So pretty simple there, nothing too complex. Now like trying to figure out this door here. So let's go ahead and take a look at it and see what we have. So we do need to remove wire again. Right. There we go. So that is, deactivate that. Okay, there we go. And we will arm that. So I just press it again to arm it. We've armed it. Now we will move this back. Now, if we were a player, we'd come down. As you can see, this is powered. We will step on this, Again, if the door is not open, it will open the door. And we will walk through. As soon as we walk through, we will trip this. It'll close that door, and as you can see, the power is out. Now the door will still remain open because of this pressure plate. As soon as I get off the pressure plate, close it. On, it opens, go back off, closes. So people can still leave. They still have the opportunity to leave. Now we've got 2 closed doors. We want to try our luck. So we walk in front of it. As you can see, my luck would not have been good. Open the garage door, but does not open the other door. Flamethrowers would come on. Again, I have them disconnected. Flamethrowers would come on, starting this area on fire. I can leave. I can try to run back through the tripwire, but I only have one opportunity to test it out. Now, it will not burn any of the system to open the door, so they always have the opportunity to quickly run out of the room, in which case they run out of the room, door closes, they have no opportunity to go back inside. So there you go, there you have it. There is the little game room for wiring in case you want to build one yourself. We're going to work on a couple more builds, maybe come with next build is going to be a whole camp with a system kind of like this, maybe a couple rooms, maybe expand upon this game a little bit and see what else we can come up with. But again, just a fun idea to try and make visiting people's camps a little bit more exciting and a little bit more fun. Feel free to put a comment down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you.